LGBTQ people are so pro-Palestine that Zionists say they have trouble dating. Good job, fam. I am in awe of your steadfastness, so proud of you for holding the line, and honored to be part of your community. Many straighties wonder, how come so many LGBTQ people support Palestine? What's the connection between queer liberation and Palestinian liberation? If we go back to the Stonewall riots, when Marsha P. Johnson threw the first brick, she was protesting police brutality and the violent repression by the state of her and her friends' freedom of assembly, their freedom of movement, and their right to live. In the 1960s, police, in collaboration with the state, criminalized LGBTQ people under a discriminatory legal system and used their bodies as money-making fodder for the prison industrial complex. Sexual activity between same-sex adults in their private homes was a criminal offense in every single US state, except Illinois. A person convicted of sexual activity with a same-sex partner could get anywhere from a fine to 5 years, 10 years, or even a life sentence in prison. In 1971, 20 states had sex psychopath laws that permitted the arbitrary detention of people suspected of being LGBTQ. Even straight people who looked or were suspected of being LGBTQ suffered from these homophobic laws. In Palestine, Israeli citizens get killed just for looking Palestinian, like in this instance from 2022. Israeli media at the time quoted a police spokesman saying that the soldier opened fire believing the person was Palestinian, as if looking Palestinian, whatever that means, is a crime worthy of being executed over. Since 1948, Palestinians living anywhere in historical Palestine, between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, have been denied the most fundamental rights by the Zionist state under a racist, discriminatory legal system, including the right to move freely, the right to protest, the right to organize, the right to a fair trial, and the right to live. The state restricts Palestinians' movements in systematic and torturous ways. For example, Palestinians are incarcerated under what's called administrative detention, without charge, for months, sometimes years on end. According to human rights organization, the International People's Assembly, detainees under administrative detention are often held for indefinite periods. In some cases, detainees are held for years, based on secret evidence that neither the detainee nor their lawyer can access. This practice violates international human rights standards. Administrative detention is often used as a means of silencing political dissent, with many detained individuals being activists, political leaders, and human rights advocates. According to research published yesterday by the grassroots organization American Muslims for Palestine, since 1967, Israel has arrested about 1 million Palestinians, an average of 47 per day for 58 years. As of May 2025, Israel holds 10,068 Palestinians in confinement, but only 1,455 are sentenced, while 3,190 await trial and 3,577 languish in administrative detention without charge. Meanwhile, administrative detention has exploded after Israel's genocide in Gaza, jumping from 350 to 2,373 detainees per month, a sevenfold surge that now accounts for nearly one-third of all prisoners. Tel Aviv enforces its carceral system with movement barriers and draconian laws. The West Bank now suffers from almost 900 checkpoints, gates, and roadblocks, up from 645 in 2023, paralyzing daily life. In the first half of 2024, the IDF conducted 3,384 documented search and arrest operations across the West Bank. In 2025 alone, Israeli forces conducted mass raids, resulting in 530 arrests, including 60 children and 18 women across cities, towns, and refugee camps in the West Bank. Meanwhile, in late 2024, the Israeli Knesset passed amendments to their existing laws legalizing collective punishment and permitting life sentences for children at 12. Washington has bankrolled this oppression. Since 1948, Congress has appropriated an inflation-adjusted $383.75 billion in aid, promising at least $3.8 million in annual aid since 2016, while rushing to give Israel $14.1 billion in April 2025 to underwrite their genocide. Unlike other countries, money for Israel arrives as an immediate lump sum, lets Israel earn interest, and flows through lightly scrutinized direct commercial sales that speed up US weapons approvals to their military, prison guards, and settlers alike. Israel's carceral system, like its military courts, administrative detention, torture, deportation, and child imprisonment, constitute a comprehensive and deliberate apparatus of domination. The system is sustained by US money, weapons, and diplomatic cover. To uphold international law and Palestinian rights, the system must be dismantled entirely, and US support must end. The Stonewall riots erupted into protests that lasted several days. Now imagine had the police at that point chosen to kill or amputate anyone who dared to peacefully protest. Imagine if an NYPD sniper was stationed from miles away to shoot non-violent peaceful protesters at the knees, in the head, in the heart, just for daring to stand up and protest for their rights. It didn't happen at Stonewall, but it did happen to Palestinians in Gaza in 2018 during the Great March of Return. People in Gaza marched to the border between Gaza and the Zionist state to demand their right to return home, the homes they were expelled from in 1948, which are inside the Zionist state, and to remind the world of their decades of suffering. The Zionist army responded by killing and amputating them. Slowly and carefully, 32-year-old Saeed Kadum moves about his home on a crutch. He plants his foot on the ground on one side, while moving forward with his crutch on the other. His other leg dangles suspended above the floor, missing a part of itself. Saeed lost his foot 5 years ago during the Great March of Return. He has had 27 extensive surgeries done on his foot in the hopes of keeping it. He was eventually forced to amputate it, lest he lose his entire leg. Saeed isn't the only person in his family who was injured during the Great March of Return. His brother, 34-year-old Mohammed, suffered the exact same injury. His foot was amputated as well. Both of their lives have been unalterably changed since they joined the mass protests that emerged on Gaza's borders in 2018. The Israeli response to these protests was as aggressive as it was deliberate. Protesters were shot with explosive bullets, what is known as a high-explosive incendiary designed to pierce armor and cause maximum damage to the target at the protesters' feet, eyes, head, and chest. This led to an uncommonly high number of amputations, resulting from the wounds systematically and intentionally inflicted on dozens of protesters. Despite the life-changing impact of these wounds, Saeed and Mohammed say they would do it all again because the Great March of Return was also life-changing. If the protests resume again, we will be in the front line, Saeed said, considering his continued participation and duty in service of Palestinian liberation. We were motivated by the idea that these marches would bring us closer to returning to our homeland beyond the Israeli fence, he says. We could see our lands on the horizon and believed we would be able to reach them. Almost 50 years later, we remember the Stonewall riots as a righteous uprising for freedom, with LGBTQ people demanding to be seen, heard, and treated as equal human beings. The uprisings in Palestine are no different. So if you are LGBTQ, this is why supporting Palestine feels so natural to you. It is coded into your veins. You understand the pain of being discriminated against, of being seen as an other, and you intuitively stand with the oppressed people around the world demanding to be treated equally. From Stonewall to Palestine, the struggle for freedom is the same, and inshallah, we will live to see it in our lifetimes, from the river to the sea.